Jonas Hale had always been the kind of man who looked where no one else bothered to. While other scavengers rushed toward shiny wrecks and fresh debris, he drifted to the quiet corners of the asteroid belt, sifting through what everyone else dismissed as worthless. That day was no different. His small salvage ship floated among broken rocks, his eyes searching for something that didn't quite fit. His partner on this run, Emily Carter, leaned back in her seat, half asleep. "You're wasting fuel again," she muttered, watching Jonas study the scanners like they were treasure maps. Jonas didn't answer right away. His eyes narrowed at a faint reading, too steady to be just rock, too large to be normal scrap. He guided the ship closer, weaving through dust and stone until a shape revealed itself. It was huge, buried under layers of asteroid, its surface scarred with cracks and strange patterns that didn't belong to any known design. Emily sat up straighter. "Looks dead to me. Probably has been for centuries." But Jonas wasn't so sure. Something about the relic pulled at him. The alien scavengers in nearby ships had already taken a look, judged it worthless and moved on. To them it was just dead metal. But to Jonas, it looked like a puzzle begging to be solved. He anchored the ship and suited up, his helmet sealing with a click. Emily sighed but followed him out, her boots clamping against the rock as they walked across the asteroid's surface. The relic stretched above them like the bones of some ancient giant, half swallowed by stone. Its surface was cold, almost lifeless, but Jonas ran his gloved hand across the strange patterns, tracing the grooves as if they were letters in a language he almost understood. "Jonas, this is a waste of time," Emily said, her voice crackling through the comms. "Even if it powers up, who says it's safe?" Jonas didn't answer right away. He crouched near a broken panel, prying it open with a tool from his belt. Inside, wires and circuits long dead were fused together, but he saw something the others had missed. A faint glow buried deep inside, like a heartbeat refusing to stop. His pulse quickened. "It's not dead," he whispered. Emily laughed nervously. "You're kidding." Everyone scanned it. "It's junk." But Jonas shook his head. He knew machines. He'd been fixing things since he was a boy on Earth, pulling apart radios and engines until he understood how they breathed. And this relic, whatever it was, wasn't junk. It was sleeping. He marked the coordinates and ran a cable back to their ship, ignoring Emily's protests. The relic was too big to take whole, but he could cut a section loose, study it, see if he could coax it awake. Emily finally stopped arguing when she saw the determination in his eyes. She had known Jonas long enough to understand. Once he set his mind on something, nothing in the galaxy could make him stop. Hours later, the piece was secured in their cargo hold. Emily shook her head as they prepared to leave, still unconvinced. "One day your obsession with broken things is going to get us both killed," she said. Jonas only smiled faintly, staring at the dark metal resting behind him. To anyone else it was just a dead relic. But deep inside Jonas felt it, this wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning. Back at the repair bay on their small outpost, Jonas Hale worked with the kind of focus only he could manage. The piece of the relic sat in front of him, a massive slab of alien technology scarred by time. Most people would have called it junk. Emily Carter certainly did, more than once, as she watched him circle it like a man possessed. "You dragged half a mountain into our workshop," she said, crossing her arms. "And for what?" "A pile of dead wires." Jonas didn't argue. He just grabbed his toolkit and set to work. The relic's surface was hard as stone, but with enough effort he pried open the ancient panel he had spotted back on the asteroid. Inside, the circuits looked foreign, nothing like the ship engines, drones, or colony tech he was used to fixing. But Jonas wasn't intimidated. To him, machines were like puzzles. You didn't need to know the language of the parts, you only had to understand the rhythm of how they worked. He leaned in, lamp strapped to his head, grease already staining his hands. "Look at this," he muttered, pointing to a faint glimmer deep in the wiring. "Something's still alive in here." Emily peered closer, squinting. "Alive? That thing looks like it's been dead since before humans even left Earth." "Doesn't matter," Jonas said. "If there's a heartbeat, I can bring it back." He spent hours stripping out damaged lines, replacing broken connections with spare parts scavenged from old drones and engines. The alien systems didn't match human tools, but Jonas had always been good at improvising. A coil here, a bypass there, even a strip of old copper wire soldered in the right spot. It wasn't elegant, but it worked. Emily shook her head as she brought him food. "You really think you can outsmart the hundreds of engineers who've already declared this thing useless?" Jonas smiled faintly without looking up. They gave up too early. Night after night, he worked in the dim light of the bay. Sometimes he talked to the machine under his breath, as if encouraging it to wake. Other times he fell silent, completely lost in the process of repairing what no one believed could be fixed. To Jonas it wasn't just about proving the others wrong. It was about listening to his gut, that strange feeling that this relic mattered. At one point, sparks flew, burning his glove. Emily jumped back, cursing, but Jonas only laughed. That's good. Means it's trying to talk again. Piece by piece the relic began to respond. The faint glow inside the core grew brighter, steady instead of flickering. Jonas ran a hand over the frame, whispering like he was speaking to an old friend. Come on. You're not done yet. Emily leaned against the wall, watching him. She wanted to tell him he was wasting his time, but something in his stubborn focus kept her quiet. Maybe, just maybe, he saw something no one else could. Finally, after days of trial and error, Jonas sealed the last connection and stepped back, sweat dripping from his brow. The relic gave a low hum, a vibration that filled the bay and rattled tools off the shelves. Emily's eyes widened. Jonas grinned, exhausted but triumphant. Told you. It just needed a mechanic. The workshop was silent except for the steady hum coming from the relic. Jonas Hale stood a few steps back, wiping sweat and grease from his forehead with the back of his sleeve. 4 days the machine had been nothing but dead weight. Now for the first time it was awake, at least partly. Emily Carter was at his side, her arms crossed tight. She didn't like the way the floor vibrated beneath her boots. Jonas, she said quietly, what did you just do? He didn't answer. His eyes were fixed on the relic as its surface began to shift. Lines of light traced across the dark metal like veins glowing under skin. Dust fell from its edges, drifting into the air as the entire structure began to move. Emily took a nervous step back. That's not normal. Machines don't breathe like that. Jonas felt his chest tighten. She was right. The relic wasn't just humming, it was alive in a way no human technology had ever been. Panels folded and opened, rearranging themselves. What had once looked like a lifeless block now stretched into a clear shape, a ship, though not like any he had seen before. Its design was elegant, its angles smooth yet powerful, as if it had been waiting for this moment for centuries. Beautiful, Jonas whispered almost to himself. Suddenly a sound filled the room, not through the air but directly in their heads. It was deep, resonant, and impossibly old. Welcome home, my king. Jonas froze. He glanced at Emily, who was staring back at him, her eyes wide with shock. Did you hear that? He asked. Her voice shook. Please tell me I didn't just imagine it. The relic, or rather the ship, continued to glow brighter, the light running along its frame until the whole bay was washed in a pale silver hue. Jonas's heart raced. He was just a mechanic, a man who fixed engines and patched broken hulls. Why would a machine, an alien machine, call him king? Emily reached for his arm. Jonas, this isn't funny. Machines don't talk like that. Not in your head. I know, he said softly. He pressed a hand against the relic's frame, feeling warmth radiating through the metal. But it knew me. It recognized me. The ship pulsed again, a low thrum that made the tools on the workbench rattle. Jonas staggered back, overwhelmed by the strange connection building in his mind. He saw flashes, images of stars, vast cities carved from light, fleets of ships sailing in perfect formation. None of it made sense, but the visions felt real, like memories buried deep inside him. Emily pulled him away. Jonas, stop touching it. You don't know what it's doing to you. But Jonas couldn't ignore the truth settling heavy in his chest. The relic wasn't broken. It wasn't lost. It had been waiting for him. He turned to Emily, his face pale but determined. This thing thinks I'm someone I'm not. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Or maybe you're someone you've never known you were. The hum deepened again, like the ship was breathing in time with Jonas's heartbeat. And in that moment he realized their lives were never going back to normal. Jonas Hale sat on the floor of the workshop, his back against the wall, breathing hard. The relic, no, the ship, still glowed faintly in front of him, its strange patterns shifting like ripples across water. His head was heavy, filled with flashes of things he couldn't explain. Emily Carter knelt beside him, worry written all over her face. Jonas, talk to me. What did you see? He rubbed his temples. It's hard to explain. Pictures. Places I've never been. Fleets of ships, cities made of light, people who looked like us. Not aliens. Humans. Emily blinked. Humans? Out there? That doesn't make sense. We're the newcomers in this galaxy. Everyone knows that. Jonas shook his head. That's what we thought. But this ship, it showed me something else. An empire. A human empire that existed long before Earth even knew what space was. Emily stared at the glowing frame, her voice quiet. And it thinks you belong to it? Jonas looked down at his hands. They were still trembling. It called me king. Not pilot, not engineer, king. Like I'm connected to whatever they were. Like I'm their heir. Silence hung in the room. The idea was ridiculous, and yet, Emily had seen enough already to know it wasn't impossible. She leaned back, trying to process it, when alarms suddenly lit up across the workshop's console. Jonas jumped to his feet. What now? Emily checked the screen, her face paling. Ships. Dozens of them. Different factions. They must have picked up the energy surge when this thing woke up. Jonas moved to the viewport. Beyond the outpost, the stars were already shifting with movement. Alien vessels arriving fast, their lights cutting through the darkness. He recognized the designs. Traders, scavengers, mercenaries, and even military patrols. None of them were friendly. They're afraid, Jonas murmured. Afraid of what? Emily asked. Afraid of this ship. They know what it is even if we didn't. And they don't want it in human hands. The Relic's hum deepened as though it understood the threat. Jonas felt it reach into his thoughts again, calm and steady. You are the last. You are the blood. You are the one we have waited for. He staggered back, clutching the workbench. The words weren't just sounds, they carried weight, truth that sank into his bones. He wasn't imagining this. The ship wasn't confused. It knew him in a way he didn't even know himself. Emily grabbed his shoulder. Jonas, tell me what's happening. He met her eyes, his voice rough. It's saying I'm the last heir of that empire. Their bloodline didn't vanish, it ended up with me. Emily shook her head, half in disbelief, half in fear. Jonas, you're a mechanic. You fix broken engines. You're not a king. He gave a small, bitter laugh. Yeah. Tell that to the galaxy outside. Through the viewport, more ships appeared, surrounding the outpost. Some were charging weapons. Others were broadcasting warnings. Jonas didn't need to hear the words to know the meaning. Hand over the relic or be destroyed. The ship pulsed brighter, its systems waking further. Panels along its side shifted into what looked like weapons, sleek and terrible. And Jonas understood. If he gave a command, even a thought, it would obey. Emily whispered, Jonas, what are you going to do? He stared at the relic, then at the growing fleet beyond the glass. For the first time he wasn't just a mechanic anymore. He was something else, something larger. And the galaxy had just realized it too. The bay shook as warning sirens echoed through the outpost. From the window, Jonas Hale and Emily Carter watched as fleets of alien ships gathered like vultures. Their lights glimmered coldly against the black, surrounding the station from every angle. Emily's voice was tight with fear. Jonas, they're not here to talk. They'll tear this place apart if they think we're keeping the relic. Jonas didn't answer. His eyes stayed locked on the great machine in front of him. The ship's glow pulsed like a heartbeat, steady and strong as if waiting for him to decide. He had fixed it, brought it back from silence. And now it wasn't just metal anymore, it was awake. The voice brushed his thoughts again, deep and certain. Command and we will answer. Jonas felt a knot in his chest. He was just a mechanic. He had no army, no fleet, no throne. But the ship believed in him, and for the first time in his life, he wondered if maybe he had been meant for something more than patching up broken engines. Emily gripped his arm. If you fight them, they'll call you a threat. Every faction out here will come for you. Jonas looked at her, his expression torn between doubt and resolve. If I don't, they'll destroy this ship and bury whatever it stands for. Humanity will never know what it once was. The outpost shook as the first barrage of weapons lit up the void. Emily braced herself, but the relic responded before Jonas even moved. Its armor unfolded like wings, massive and brilliant, shielding the bay from the attack. The floor rumbled as power surged through the ancient vessel, filling the air with a deep vibration that rattled every bone in their bodies. Jonas raised his hand almost without thinking, and the ship answered. Blinding beams of energy shot outward, striking the alien vessels with perfect precision. Hulls cracked, weapons were torn away, but not a single ship was destroyed completely. Engines were disabled, defenses shut down, but escape pods remained untouched. Emily's eyes widened. You're holding back, it's sparing them. Jonas nodded, his jaw tight. It doesn't want slaughter. It wants them to see. The galaxy was watching. Across comms, across stations, across fleets, word was already spreading. A human had awakened a relic of impossible power, and it obeyed only him. Ships that had come to fight now drifted powerless, staring at the silver glow of a legend reborn. As the last hostile weapon was silenced, the ship's voice filled Jonas's thoughts again. One world at a time we will rise. Others wait for you. Hidden. Sleeping. The throne of humanity is not lost. Jonas's breath caught. More relics. More ships. Humanity's forgotten past wasn't just a story, it was scattered across the stars, waiting for someone stubborn enough to bring it back. Emily stood beside him, still in shock, her hand resting on his shoulder. So, what now? Do we run? Do we hide? Jonas stared at the endless stretch of stars beyond the viewport, the glow of the awakened ship casting light across his face. His voice was quiet but steady. No. We return. Not as scavengers, not as the weakest species in the galaxy. Humanity is coming back. And this, he placed his hand on the relic's warm surface, is only the beginning. The ship pulsed in agreement, its light shining brighter than ever. And in that moment the galaxy understood, humankind had awakened.